Hi everybody, Rabbi Tuly Weisz from Israel 365. I'm here at in the community of Elad for the circumcision of the baby who was born to the Salomon family, who by now you all know, who suffered the terrible Shabbat massacre last week. And talk about a bittersweet event. This was the epitome of that. On the one hand, they're mourning for all of these family members who were killed this week, and at the same time welcoming a new baby Jewish boy into the covenant of Abraham. And they named this child Ari Yosef, for Yosef Salomon, the grandfather who was killed. And the family gave out these magnets, and it says, it quotes from the verse in Ezekiel, "Ve'omer lach b'damai chayi, ve'omer lach b'damai chayi." I will say to you, in your blood you shall live, in your blood you shall live. And that's the story of the Jewish people, that there's so much bloodshed, but we don't give up, we live on. And this family was so inspiring. I had a chance to meet Michal, whose husband Elad was killed, and I was able to pass along your wishes, the letters from the readers of Israel 365, and she was smiling. She was so appreciative. She told me to thank all of you who were able to contribute to her family or to give a letter to show your support. And then the family says, Toda shebatem l'chazek u'lehitchazek shmua v'chein Salomon. Thank you for coming. They're thanking us for coming to this celebration. They don't want to be a sad family. They want to be a joyous family. And while there, it was packed. It was so crowded. People from all over Israel came to participate and to show them that our hearts are with this Salomon family. And I met the aunt of Michal, who is from New Jersey, and she has a very, very powerful story that I want you to hear. Go. Okay. Hi everybody. I'm here at the bris, the circumcision celebration in Elad for Ari Yosef Salomon. It's talk about bittersweet, right?
Right. He is the child for whom the Salomon family was getting together on the Friday night that they were murdered by a terrorist to celebrate his birth.
Right, his coming into the world.
And now, today is 8 days later, and so he is having his circumcision. But the reason that the doors were open to the house is because of their desire to have a celebration on the first Shabbat Eve, that Friday night Eve, that after he was born.
So we're here at the bris, and just ran into Susan from America. She was the aunt of Michal, whose husband Elad was killed.
Right.
And Susan was telling me how she heard the news.
Well, my rabbi in West Orange, New Jersey, on Shabbat was giving a Dvar Torah, a speech after the Torah reading on Shabbat, and he said he didn't know if everyone had heard before what had happened in Israel, that a terrorist came into a home and knifed to death a father and a son, and a wife got stabbed as well, but she survived, and a sister. And
so he announced that in the synagogue.
He announced that in the synagogue. He told the whole story, and that the aunt of the child who had just been born was in the house with her 5 children, 3 young children and 2 baby twins. And she survived by getting her children upstairs before the terrorists got upstairs.
And you obviously had no idea.
The rabbi didn't say a name because the names had not been released in Israel yet. But right after Shabbat, I had another niece who was at my son's house, and I was there as well. And she opened her WhatsApp and sees that it was my niece who saved her children while her husband was fending off the terrorists. And my niece told me, Salomon, told me that that was the pact with her husband. He would take care of the terrorists, and she was to take care of the children. And the 3 children who were downstairs where the terrorist was, stabbing everybody, she snuck behind him. She put her finger on her mouth to tell them, and she walked behind the terrorists and took them upstairs to the 2 sleeping children and got them all in. I think the bathroom, but it could have been where the children were sleeping.
Now, I just met Michal.
Barricaded the door and called the police and started screaming out the window. And a neighbor across the way heard all the ruckus, and he was ready to leave the house to see what was happening, and he got called back by a member of his family who said, maybe you ought to take a gun. And so he got his gun and walked across the street, and he saw through the window what was happening and shot the terrorist.
Wow. We just met Michal.
Survived. She is absolutely amazing person. Absolutely beyond amazing. She always was. And her husband was the best father you ever saw. I mean, every time I come to Israel fairly often, and each time I see them, each time I'm here, I spend time with them, and he is so attentive to his children. At every moment, he always knows what all 5 of his children are doing, what the babies need and what each of the kids need. But
just smiling.
She was so, and she spoke to, I mean, every minister almost in Knesset and the American ambassador, and everybody has been here, and she is totally together and answers everybody's questions.
Right. We were able to speak briefly to her and just to tell her that the people from America and all over the world, really, from Israel 365 and beyond, are thinking about her. Our prayers are with her, and anything that we could do to help her, we were able to tell her.
And she definitely, cares about such messages that are meaningful to her.
So thank you, Susan, for telling us that amazing, sad story. And we just hope that your family will just have comfort and